Ready?
Sure. It's freestyle. Yeah, keep sliding.
I've been practicing, though admittedly not with a lot of devotion. I counted all the things that I should have rebelled against, and sat on the fence about whether... After all, it feels natural to hear that people regret stopping their lessons, but I'm trying to think about people who regret learning it. There are the pictures tucked away in dresser drawers under the socks and briefs, glued together by their emotion. There are the pictures tucked away in dresser drawers under the socks and brief. There are the pictures tucked away in dresser drawers under the socks and briefs, glued together by their emotion. They are the kind of pictures that aren't really looked at, but kept as proof. There are the pictures tucked away in dresser drawers under the socks and briefs, glued together by their emotion. They are the kind of pictures that aren't really looked at, but kept as proof. She smells like rejection. Do you know what I mean? She smells like rejection. Do you know what I mean? I was 20 the first time I got sick. I was 20 the first time I got cystic acne. And I was 20 the first time I heard of Lacan, and I really see some parallels. In the spelling, at least. Not to say that this is at all about first times. A first time could be anything if you're specific enough. Not to say that this is at all about first times. A first time could be anything if you're specific enough. It was also a jolting realization that friends were passing through my life like seasons. It wasn't until I reached 35 that I began to understand that this is the tendency of my body. friends had to pass like time, or that I had to pass. Or really, that neither was to blame for their departure. That we are blameless. I think that's okay. We should move on. This is Virginities. It's 2 monologues and a dialogue. One is called Lambent Disgust. The other is called Corner Store. And then the last dialogue is called Centerfold Future. Yeah, we got this, right?
Yeah,
Cut.
so.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are you still pushing this? What can I say? What can I say? Nothing. Leave off. Leave off, it didn't mean anything. Not in particular. We were friends. I mean, we're friends. Why do you want to analyze this? Have questions helped? Have questions helped us? Ever? Can't we just... I didn't kiss you because I was drunk. I wasn't even that drunk. Maybe inhibitions lowered. But I knew what I was doing. It just... When you... When you told me you wanted to kiss me, of course it meant something. It meant everything. Monologue 2, Fantasy, take 3. The fantasy building is one that's always for sale. The fantasy building's one that's always for sale, a dream palace. Do your dreams like mine operate on the basis of others? I mean, I'm in this building, right? And it needs constant checking, constant evaluation, maintenance. And I hate to say it, because you might think I'm steering the fantasy, but literally all the evaluators are men. Men decide its future. I wish I was telling a different story. Okay. So the evaluation is about good investment. You know, this property is for sale and it's under constant appraisal. I know I told you that. It's evaluated even from those who aren't buyers, like me, or like people who don't even give a shit, an audience, outsiders. So it's not even about a buyer-seller relationship. It's the pinning and unpinning of my soul to a place on the city grid. The thing I'm dealing with is the endless temporary. And okay, call me dramatic, desperate to make a metaphor out of everything, to make everything a way to understand something else. But truly, I feel like I am a spectre to be cleared out when appropriate for the buyer or renter or developer. I know I was born and immediately I'm an outsider, but surely can't I undergo due process to be... This is how I understand the position of the ghost. And rethink my way to measure the repercussions of renewal. And who the fuck am I to occupy? What does it then mean? What can I do for it? This dream palace, my fantasy building. I go to my job at the store. I sit around while people pick stuff. I wonder why they want these things. I pick more stuff. I put cookies in my mouth one at a time so no one sees chewing. And I don't have to speak. I don't have to speak to them. They don't speak to me. So then I go home. The asbestos guy has a thick folio with A4 printed sheets and a briefcase shaped like a large leather loaf of bread. He doesn't have a parking spot for his truck. Language stands between us. I linger near a window, a curved curtain. He drags a folding ladder around the room. He has a cart of heavy tools. He clambers up and down the ladder. And there, he's stomping. It's insane how the floors shake. The asbestos guy has a thick folio with A4 printed sheets and a briefcase shaped like a large leather loaf of bread. He doesn't have a parking spot for his truck. Language stands between us. I linger near a window, a curved curtain. He drags a folding ladder around the room. He has a cart of heavy tools. He clambers up and down the ladder. And there, he's stomping. It's insane how the floors shake. I never thought this space could withstand such force. It's a lesson, I guess. He chisels into the walls to see the layers below, then sledgehammers. The asbestos guy has tight jeans and the same colored jacket as me. I do wonder where he bought his. Mine is Excar, the brand founded by Kim Gordon. He turns on the radio and I know all the songs. Selena Gomez, Cardi B, Alice DJ, Miley Cyrus, Troye Sivan, Shawn Mendes, Doja Cat, Dua Lipa, Megan Thee Stallion, Gunnar Haslam, Normani, The Sugar Babes, A.G. Cook, La Bouche, Holly Herndon, Yeji, Laurel Halo, The Venga Boys, Tommy Cash, It Was Tuma, Robin Gristle, Yola Tango, Coco Rosie, Kim Petras, Adele, Chris and Cozy, Jennifer Lopez, Loreen, Severed Heads. It goes on. The radio remains on for 2 days, hours longer than I expect. He sings along and I don't. 2 days he's singing, but he is not the target of my anger. The rage I feel at facilitating a shift of property that I didn't realize I signed up for. I'm stewarding the future. Here, okay, I count to 10. I sit in the corner. I sit in my pants, covered in dust. Whenever I lie down, I am covered in dust. I've never been naked here. The windows are purposed out onto the street. He slams the walls, my body shakes, grit and sand lands on the filthy mop that's in the toilet, that's in my room, the only toilet in the building. He keeps coming back to piss. He doesn't flush between pissing. Dust layers into splattered drops. I smell it. I lay piss on the bowl as well. Sparkling water turned yellow, warm. I too don't touch the flush. I've made him a coffee. There's more to drink. I walk across the room towards him. Yellow is the color. Ammonia breaks the seal. Asbestos is a lock. I would go up in flames. Nothing seems more. Every joke I know about the farce of the archaeological goes up in flames. He hammers to find. The game of finding an origin, locating the toxic layer, shatter, shin, splinter. Here. I'll count to 10. That's the 10 seconds it takes for urine to cool. It's room temperature. It leaves the body. Yellow. The same temperature as blood. And then cools rapidly. Heat fades. Or mellows.
Will you be able to check after the battery?
Filming. We meet while I'm sitting in a folding chair, waiting to be on camera. I guess then I'm desperate to prove that I have a mind worth noting, so I speak when he asks me if I care to converse, and suddenly my life is not going to be found in a copy of Airless Spaces I carried with me, and light kissing turning into heavy petting. He read me a poem, though I didn't much enjoy it. I score out his eyes first so they stop looking at me. I never wanted to photograph people. I don't care for skin, I like light. I can see his eyes still, though I cross them out. I write in the margin around his body, something I don't know how I feel about. I write, do you believe in love? May I ask why? Not sure I have an answer. Can you begin with yourself? A painted candle. A candle painted. Look at my vast purple body. I am called Grimace. I love milkshakes. I am called Barney. I sing about easy love. I love you. You love me. And with a red bag, I'm Tinky Winky. I love songs. I'm furry. And I'm waxy. What is the opposite color to purple? Yellow. cowardice, and other things. Humiliation, finding an architecture like something clung to a skeleton. That's a candle for me. That's a candle for me. Wax wicks up in sparks, sure ways to halt speech. Last night, we chain smoked. All of us, friends. My skin tone turns from rich purple to nicotine stained. In my room, ripping through cartons of cigarettes, we took turns drawing bubble baths and took turns bathing. I felt happy. I can guess why I wasn't invited to your house. I told my friends about you quitting meth. Like it was my story. I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I did that. I did it like a sharp reprimand I'm mustering up. But it's your myth, and mine, I guess, that I feed. I still smell the cigarettes. My windows are and were open. I haven't been feeling so bad. I walked around your area earlier today, eating up rolls of film with my camera, taking photos of the buildings. The upstairs, the decorations, not the balconies, just architraves. I had headphone buds in and wore my radio on my waist. I just twiddle the knobs. I surf until I find something I like. Then I sit and write in my notebook until my hands start shaking too much. I'm only writing notes to myself at the moment, like wishes for the future. A monologue as house. House in melancholy, filled with long pauses, joking about getting destroyed, like it's funny. A producer like Rick Rubin is making tracks so compressed they sound distorted, but loud. Unmistakably louder, more present. He comes in like a wrecking ball. The midnight sun? That's admirable. That's present. He manages to be present. Of a bestseller, Twilight. She called it Midnight Sun. I read it. And because the plot is known, it's just character contour, insights into the vampire. It's so much about absence and excess and first love. Rubin staged himself getting thrown out of CBGB's. Only love. Reputation becomes parasitic. I've never thought to presume to hold the voice of others in my capacity as grimace. I imagine it's an attempt to meet your heroes and idols in reputation. As Barney. The purple creature remains categorically the same. I enjoy reading or meeting. You make me think anything about being touched, about imagining, projected touch, desiring touch, and being in a position to refuse touch. Or better yet, knowing precisely what type of touch you seek. And for what reasons, to what ends. To no consequence. What if I told you I touched myself thinking of you? I'm touching myself thinking of you. Tell me more. I could tell you this. We fucked after a really enjoyable set of verbal sparring. The type where you think,
My tongue is dexterous in this conversation. So this was someone who I told I didn't care for politics. Like, I told him I wasn't at all interested in politics as played out or defined by the media. Or like online newspapers. Or junk that people post and share. That was my working definition of the political, at least for the sake of that flirtation. Then, as I proceeded to give him a hot take on so many aspects of my life, which you know I rarely do because I prefer to listen, he kept trying to point out every action of mine that he could phrase as political. Sounds political to me. He'd say, chuckle, and you say you're no political. Saying things like this. Did I give him the ability to survey me based on my self-surveillance? Does the pose of self-reflection invite more criticality? You're so charming. But mostly maybe he was a perfect foil for me to lay out my fantasy. And his opinions and postures were not surprising to me, but teased out enough particularity to make me feel seen. He, the definition of queer, which sits as reproductive of heteronormative patriarchy, but in a little more observative
quirk.
Observative way
the type
of
of poser punk with great ankle hem situation, worn like a birthright, like a ribald passport, like needs no stamp or visa to access different spaces, because forget about style. There's no style anymore.
Forget about the received customs of subculture. There's no subculture anymore. There's no recognition, really, no future. I mean, could you tell me that being punk was cooler? Were you a punk? Is that something that you identify as you, with purple fur, grimace, Barney, Tinky Winky, infant-like? But I'll return to the spell I cast by saying that I fucked someone, me violently becoming absent, and that I showed that I gave access to the thing that you don't have access to now. I mean, also, I chose not to articulate what I found very obvious, that there's a distance between what I say and do. And to me, this does not produce a discontinuity or a disingenuousness. But also, I desired him. He pulverized me, twisting at my back and grabbing at my spine as though he could really pull out a disc and then really paralyze me. Not just in speech. And I guess I don't mind things like that if I have the space to understand it as consensual.
What do you think you're flirting with?
I'm also talking about my relationship to cultural production and how it's mediated. So I guess I'm talking about the institution and institutionalization as an act of becoming coherent.
Do you think you're different now?
Well, I thought I was talking about my body.
Are you distinguished? Now that you fucked him? No totality. No totality or language holds you enough as an entity. Why did you tell him you're not interested in politics as represented in the media? Is that impressive? Did you want him to think that you were interested in politics in another way? But I hear you. Flirting is hard. And smelling the bullshit on your breath can be hot. You lost fuck on the wind. You tell me you gave something away, but you still hold it. That though an economy exists, you're still intact.
And it's what I look like. Can you understand that? Some days I say a prayer that I'll become an activist. I think about the looseness of punkness now, and the appearance and the matter of appearances. Hypervisibility feels inevitable. And there are so many instances of compressed loudness. I know the ceiling. I think I know my threshold. I think I understand distortion.